Hello, welcome to this episode of the REBT Advocates with Dr. Michael R. Adelstein of 3minutetherapy.com and me, Tommy Bateman of the REBT Advocates. This is the only thing I got going for myself, really. And you can email us both at rebtadvocates@gmail.com. You can find Michael's book at therebt.life. And that is an amazing book because, hey, you can therapize yourself by learning the concepts of REBT, and no one does it better than Dr. Michael R. Adelstein when it comes to putting it down in the written word and educating the masses. Michael, before we get started, you got anything to say?
Oh, yeah. By the way, I'm with you, Tommy. The only area of expertise in my life is REBT, and I'm a rank amateur in everything else. But I'm Dr. Michael Edelstein. I have a 40 years experience helping people with REBT, and my practice and 3-minute therapy. My book is in the description below.
Excellent. So we got an email at rebtadvocates@gmail.com from a fan across the Atlantic Ocean. David, I really appreciate your question. It was multi-parts, but I chose one little piece at the very end. And he suggested we talk about the word rational. What does that really mean in rational emotive behavior therapy? I know a lot of my colleagues were turned off by that word, rational versus irrational. And they kind of assigned a judgment to the word rational. Michael, so what's this word all about?
Well, you make a good point, Tommy. You said, what does this word mean in REBT? And REBT does define words differently than lay people might, like anxiety or depression or those things. But rational is not one of those, because the dictionary definition of rational is logical or reasonable.
Yeah.
So logical means, does the end result that you're trying to get follow from the steps leading to it? If it does, it's a sequitur or it's logical. And if it doesn't, it's a non sequitur. So that's how we're using it here. And so normally you start out with long-term goals, which are your values. For example, let's take being single or having a family. So everyone decides if they want to be single or have a family. Now, that's an ultimate goal. You can't really prove that being single or having a family is right. So that's what you decide. But then something that's rational would help you achieve that goal of being single or being married. And it's irrational if you're doing things that sabotage that goal. So, for example, if you murder a few people and steal, but your goal is to have a family, that's irrational. It's not going to help you achieve your goal.
So there is a situation in which murdering and stealing is rational. Is that what you're saying, Michael?
Yes, that's right. That's a good point. And that is that if your ultimate goal is to be a thief, that's your love, robbery and theft, then stealing is rational. Now, the problem with that is you might have larger goals. It may not be an ultimate goal. You may have larger goals to stay out of jail. Then stealing and robbery is not rational because of your ultimate goal to stay out of jail. But you can't prove that if that's your ultimate goal, genuinely your ultimate goal, you can prove that that's right or wrong. But normally people have larger goals that they're going toward when they want to stay out of jail. Tommy?
Yeah, so I mean, once again, we REBTers are kind of being persnickety about our words, but for very good reasons, because in the larger community, let's say mental retardation or just retardation used to mean something very specific, and now it's an insult, or at least considered an insult by some circles. And same thing with rational. If I say that's an irrational thought, people think I'm calling them irrational, or calling them stupid, if, in other words, which I'm not. I'm saying there's a specific thought that is irrational. Maybe my delivery needs a tweak, but that it has nothing to do with stupidity or intelligence or ability to think. Whatever it is simply rational or irrational. And on that note, I think, and Michael, you kind of mentioned it. You talked about sequiturs versus non sequiturs. It seems like the word rational kind of demands that we live within the laws of logic, such as the law of non-contradiction, the excluded middle, and that sort of thing, correct?
That's right. Exactly
Yeah.
right. There are laws of logic, and you could study the laws of logic, as it sounds Tommy has, and think more about do the step first, establish your ultimate goal, and do the steps lead toward that ultimate goal in the best way that you know of.
Hmm.
Now, normally, we help people with emotional and behavioral disturbance because their larger goal is to be happy, and emotional and behavioral disturbance is going to interfere with that larger goal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, and that kind of just undergirds the subjective nature of REBT, where I remember when I was teaching this in a jail, uh, uh, someone asked me, I say, wait a minute, so I can avoid feeling all these nasty feelings while I'm doing all these bad, what he thought were bad things, and which I think are bad things too. And I said, well, look, it's depending on what you're going for. What's your goal? Like Michael said, it's a beautiful system. It could be used for good or evil, Michael.
Yeah, and it's aesthetic also, in my view, but
Hmm.
that's aesthetics is more of an ultimate goal. But I
Absolutely.
think it's parsimonious and simple, not simplistic, on how to overcome emotional and behavioral problems.
Yeah. Well, that's rational for you, David. I really appreciate the question, Michael. Before we sign off, do you have anything else to say?
Just signing off. So if you enjoyed this episode, below, comment, uh, and you can also like, give us a like, and volunteer. We're always looking for people
Hmm.
who want to come on with us, and we'll cure you of depression, anxiety, or anger. Or if you're a therapist who wants help with a client, or you could be a family member who wants help with your mother, father, sister, brother, or son or daughter, we'll give you advice on that.
Hmm.
And if you enjoy our episodes, we have many. Uh, go to Patreon, give us a donation, and subscribe to the REBT Advocates to stay on the rational side of life.